Thank you.
Okay, so hello, I'm Jialing Xie from Nihon Fukushi University. The presentation title is Analysis of Participants' Learning Outcomes Focusing on 21st Century Skills in Online International Projects. And this is the agenda for the presentation. So first, I'm going to explain to international projects which are called Worldview Meeting, noticed as WYN, and Asian Student Exchange Program, noticed as ASIP. These two projects which have 20 years of history and they are hosted by Nihon Fukushi University and Bureau of Education in Taiwan, and to enhance English abilities and ICT utilization for English as foreign language learners, so-called EFL. Therefore, participants are mainly from Asian countries such as Taiwan, Japan, Korea, Indonesia, and so on. Participants are mainly from mainly high school and university students. And next, I will talk about the implementations of WYM and ASIP. So the theoretical background of WYM and ASIP is task center instructions by Ray Glue 2016. So please take a look here. So it shows that the traditional way of learning English in Asia. So 97% of learners do not learn authentic content which relates to the real world. And those contexts highly focus on reading and understanding. Also, the content is usually preparing for the entrance exam for school. So, however, we believe this teaching method is not effective because it doesn't foster the students' motivation for learning. In addition to that, an educational method used in Japan and Taiwan is that so-called banking style here by Friday 1968. That is, students merely absorb information by depending on their teachers in the classroom passively. And this would reduce students' engagement in learning and developing critical thinking skills. So W1N and ASIP apply task centers instruction. Input emphasis on the authentic and collaborative task which motivates learners. So to give the authentic and collaborative task to the participants, the idea of the SDGs is set as the theme of WYN and ASIP. And next, I will talk about the procedure of WYN and ASIP. There are 3 stages in this project. So the first stage is the online preparatory stage. The second stage is the face-to-face stage, which is the day they give the presentation on site. However, WYN and ASIP were taking place online in 2020 and 2021 due to the COVID-19. So later I will show you how that performed. And the third stage is the online stage for the reflections. So in the first preparatory online stage, participants are in different countries, so they use ICT meeting tools such as Zoom, Line, Google Meet to discuss the topic of the presentation remotely, and they start to prepare the presentation together. And usually, in the first stage, conflict between participants occur because of having different opinions toward the content of the presentation. So learners have to find a way to solve the conflict with less help from teachers. And in the second face-to-face stage, they physically gather at WYN or ASIP and do the final preparation and rehearsal before giving the presentation. So the picture shows how participants present on the stage. And each team has 8 minutes, and after giving the presentation, participants will be asked questions from audience, and those audience are other students participants. Here, presenters often encounter difficulties in the Q&A sessions because they must answer the questions within the time limit. Therefore, they have to choose the questions and give the answer quickly. And after finish giving the presentation at the second stage, they will have the third stage, which is after the project. The purpose of having this stage is to do the reflections by getting the feedback from participants through the questionnaire surveys. So these three stages are the main procedures of the projects. And next, I will talk about the expectative learning outcomes of the participants. So participants who have different cultural backgrounds might easily encounter conflicts with other participants, such as disagreement of opinions, language barriers. In addition, they also encounter some general difficulties, such as having no sufficient time for the preparation and lack of the ideas. However, to complete their presentation, participants have to overcome those difficulties by themselves. Through finding a way to solve those problems, participants are expected to develop their skills to collaborate with other participants, to solve the problem by themselves, and to enhance their ICT literacy skills. According to Kagedo 2012, in the process of completing the presentation, overcoming the conflict is needed. In this way, they come to understand what are the 21st century skills that enable them to acquire the masteries to break through the wall of the strange circumstances. And K 2010 mentioned that with 21st century skills, students will be prepared to think, learn, work, solve problems, communicate, collaborate, and contribute effectively throughout their lives. So here, it is obvious that the skills that are needed for preparing and giving the presentation refers to as 21st century skills are collaborative skill, problem-solving skill, and ICT literacy skill. And these skills will be the target of the analysts on this research. As I mentioned before, WYN and ASAP in 2020 were changed into online because of COVID-19. And next, I will explain how online WYN and ASAP were performed. So the picture on the left shows participants giving the presentation in the online version of WYN via Microsoft Teams. And the picture on the right was the online ASAP via Google Meet. As I explained before, this presentation was usually held on-site, not online before the pandemic. But because of this situation, the main presentations were conducted online, and as they do the presentation, participants were able to choose how they give the presentation, either giving a live presentation or giving a video recorded presentations. So unlike no more face-to-face ASAP and WYN, since the face-to-face presentation stage transfer into an online, it needs a good internet environment. And because of that, participants faced some difficulties which are different from the difficulties participants face in the usual WYN and ASAP. Therefore, the analysis targets of this study are especially focusing on the participants who attended the online version of ASAP. So next, I will talk about the research methods and results. I have conducted questionnaires and interviews to examine participants' learning outcomes after joining online ASAP. The questionnaire surveys were given to select learners' feedback on the post project through Google Form. The target participants for this questionnaire consist of 43 learners who joined the online ASAP. The questionnaire was formed with three sections. The first section focuses focus on the learners' difficulties during the preparatory stage and how they solve the difficulties. The second section here refers to the difficulties during the presentations and how they solve the problems. And the third section focuses on their learning outcomes in the entire ASIP. But due to the time limitations, I would like to focus on the research result and analysis on second and third stage, especially focusing on the analyzing participants' difficulty in the Q&A session and their learning outcome through the online ASIP. So this graph shows what kind of the difficulties participants had during the Q&A session to clarify participants' problem-solving skill regarding 21st century skills. So participants mainly encountered 8 difficulties, which were time problem, unable to answer the questions, complicated procedure of Q&A session, question selecting was hard, or unable to join Q&A session, or internet connection problem, numberness, and English problem. However, some participants did not face any difficulties in these sessions. So next, this is the interview result of the difficulties from the participants during Q&A sessions analyzed by the KJ method. 5 participants were the targets of this interview. So the result shows that participants' anxiety was the one of the major cause for the difficulties during Q&A session. And this consists of 2 kinds of things, which were nervousness and lack of Q&A practice. In detail, those were the factors resulting in such as time limitations for discussions with teammates, unable to answer the questions smoothly, poor internet connection, questions from the audience were too many to choose from the list, unable to answer the questions immediately, lack of preparation for Q&A beforehand, and forget the prepared questions and answers. In addition, 2 difficulties with external factors is also another major cause for the difficulties for Q&A session. And this consists of 2 kinds of things. First one is poor response from the audience and unfamiliar with using online applications. In detail, there are including unable to see the face of audience, unable to recognize the response from the audience, and the steps for proceeding Q&A section were complicated. The second question asks about the solution which the participants used for the difficulties they had during the Q&A session. The graph shows 8 kinds of the solution that participants used. Those were projects beforehand, answer the question quickly, unable to solve the problems, help teammates to answer the questions, ask help for teammates, use online resources, choose easy questions, body language, adjust equipment, play by ear. There was also an answer which was the participants were not able to join the Q&A section for their personal reason. Then the interview shows that there were 2 main solutions were used. There were number 1, ask for help to teammates, and number 2, preparation for the answers beforehand. So for the ask for help to teammates, there were 4 ways. So those were to call on the form to teammates to know the guidance of Q&A session, to give more opinions when teammates were not able to answer the questions smoothly, to ask for the help to teammates who are good at ICT skills due to the disconnection of the web page. Choose the teammates who had experienced ASAP to answer the questions quickly. And for the number 2, preparation for the answers beforehand. Two ways were found. So those were to predict the questions before the Q&A session, and to prepare notes with prepared answer to each predictable questions. The third questions ask about what participants learn from ASAP, which is stage 3. Specifically, clarify participants' problem-solving skill, collaborative skills, and ICT literacy skill regarding 21st century skills. The interview and questionnaire result shows that ICT utilization such as Google Form, Zoom, Line, Google Document, and Power Director was increased. A participant state that she applied this skill into her regular class to conduct research. Moreover, English abilities that are pronunciations and speaking skills are enhanced during the preparation stage, which is stage 1. And some participants also said they learned English expressions in order to make teammates understand clearly. So in addition, their collaborative skills were nurtured by communicating with teammates. For example, participants learned to integrate with different opinions and to do the time managers in order to collaborate with teammates effectively and smoothly. Besides, problem-solving skills and leadership skills were nourished in the entire project. Also, participants learned different cultures, different perspective toward issue in different countries, and had a chance to meet a new friend in ASAP. So in conclusion, through this research, it was revealed that the participants of online WY and ASAP surely developed 21st century skills, including ICT literacy skill, collaborative skills, and problem-solving skills. The questionnaire and interview results showed that participants applied ICT skills into their regular class and real-life situations. So in addition, participants tried to help their teammates when teammates had problems during the Q&A sessions. So this refers to the problem-solving skills and collaborative skills. However, the results also showed that there were some difficulties that participants were unable to solve. So therefore, in the next research, the possible solution for those unsolved difficulties also will be the target of another's. So this is my presentation. Thank you for your listening. Thank you.
Thank you for your great presentation.